What is going on, everybody? Luke here. So today's video is going to be really straightforward and easy. My previous video was talking about when I'm sending stock in for Q4, which I'm already doing, and when I'll stop sending stock in for Q4. But now today I'm going to be talking about shipment times and shipment delays, possible shipment delays, shipments to Amazon, shipments from the retailer or wholesaler to you. Basically just trying to talk over that side of things, because obviously if you haven't got a good flow going on with buying it from the retailer, arriving to you, getting it to Amazon, and then obviously selling it, if that isn't efficient and streamlined, then you may find that there's periods of Q4 where you just have no stock because you still have maybe you've not reordered fast enough, maybe it's taking longer from the wholesaler to come to you because of delays that there's kind of been floating around recently. There's been delays and stuff for shipments, or even hold-ups booking into Amazon because they're super busy, and then your either UPS boxes or pallets just don't get booked in fast enough. And obviously, if your products are good sellers, then you're basically losing free profits, because you could just be in selling that, then you would be selling it, making good money, but because you haven't managed the flow of stock through each stage correctly, you now have like a big gap in where if you get 10 quid from that product a day, 15 from that, if you've got hundreds of ASINs, you're hemorrhaging like thousands of pounds potentially over a very short period of time. For example, like I want to try to at least get a 30 grand day. Well, if let's say that's about 1,000 and a bit units. Well, let's say that I don't flow that in properly, I could have a 5 grand day instead, because everything else will sell, but the good stuff isn't going to be in there to sell because either I've made an error, an oversight, I didn't expect Amazon to take someone to book it in, whatever the reason is. And so you want to offset as many of those like risk factors that could lead to an issue. Obviously, some things, if Amazon took 3 months to deliver your stock, of course you're not going to be able to sell hardly anything because no one's going to be able to predict that. So things can happen, but you want to reduce all the other things that you can do so that yes, there are still problems that could occur because it's out of your hands, but it's far less. So let's say you might have 14 days where if you're just sort of doing it as and when, 14 days where you're not efficient, but maybe you're just not going to have 3 or 4 because of Amazon or because of something's been held up for the wholesaler, as in you're going to be making profits on the other days. Yes, there'll still be some that you won't be maximizing, but that's going to happen probably anyway, just because when, for example, when crazy demand hits the market, hits Amazon in December, sometimes it is hard to predict exactly how many a day it's going to sell of a product, and so you could anticipate it's going to be 200-300 a day. It could be 1,000, and you could sell out in like half a day, and then of course you're not going to be able to, yes, I could order 5,000 today, but that takes a couple of days to get delivered, got to send it to Amazon, all that kind of thing. So yes, there's things like that. Obviously that's a good thing to have, isn't it? A good problem to have, that it sells far more than what you predicted. And all I do on that is I go and look at the data. I go, I know that I could have sold tons more of that. Maybe I overbought that, and that. Next year, I'm going to go and refine those products or similar products. If I sell similar products, for example, an advent calendar that I sold last year, there could be a similar one this year. It's selling for a similar price. It buys for the similar price. The ranking's similar. I'll adapt, even though it's not the exact same listing. I'll assume that it's going to play the same in the market, because realistically, for most people, it is the same products. They don't really remember what it looked like. They just know it was something like a Galaxy tray, 500 grams or something, and so they're not going to know it's not the exact same thing, but they're going to just be like, yep, that's what I bought last year. If you're going to go and buy some sauce, like tomato sauce, sometimes you might buy a different size to the other. It just depends if there's an offer or you don't really remember, I bought that one last time and this one's 3.5 size. You just buy roughly what you bought before. So talking about stock, so currently with my wholesale, it's about 5-day delay, and then there's about 10 days to get delivered. So that's about 2 weeks turnaround to get delivery, and then I still have to ship it to Amazon, which takes, let's say, another week, something like a 7 to 10 days on top. That's 25 days potentially, 20 to 25 days. So what am I doing? Well, I'm as I said previously in one of my videos, is I am buying Q4 related products now, like for example some Christmas puddings and stuff. They're still selling now. Obviously they're not going to sell as well now as they will later, but I'm going, okay, in 2 weeks I sold 100, so let's go, okay, well, that's it, that carries on till the end of October, because there's no massive seasonal demand for that kind of thing in October. Maybe it will slowly tick up in terms of average sales a day, but first off, I started with like 300, I sold 100, so now I have a little bit of a buffer. I have like 2 weeks of sales potentially. It could be obviously a bit less, could be a bit more, there's no exact number until you sell, but it gives me like a breathing space. I can go, okay, so I'm going to go, so I've done 2 already. As soon as I sold my first 50, I did it a bit early because I've sold it before last year. I then went and bought them for 200-300, but obviously I know that's going to take 20 days to get to Amazon, and then by that time I should have either, well, be falling out of stock or have a little bit of a stock left, and then I should rebook in with 300 or 200 or whatever I bought. And so I'm always making sure that I'm well prepared in advance. And again, you might think, well, how do you know if it's going to be good products or not by them? I just trust the data. You know, if it looks a bit funky, if you're not sure, then maybe don't go as hard. Or you could say, okay, I'm going to go hard one more time. And if I had to break even, that's not the end of the world, because break even doesn't mean you lost anything. But if it works out and it stays good and profitable, I make decent money and I can sell a lot. You got to say, you know, but do you have the capital to potentially invest to break even? If you're like, well, if I do that too many times, I've got no money left, and then I can't make any profits elsewhere. Fair enough. You've got to adapt that to your own principles, your own strategies, and go off it yourself. And then what am I doing as we're pushing through? So we're in October now, early days here. I probably have like a couple of wholesale orders that have bits of everything on the same order. So I might have 100 on that order. You know, let's say I ordered like the 3rd. I order then, and I got 100 of X item. I then look at the end of the week saying, yep, it's still on track for what I think it's selling. You know, it's still doing as planned. I'll go and order another 100 here, and then potentially another 100 here. And then, you know, at some point I might stop, because I might go, okay, I'm now, for every 50 I'm selling, I'm stocking up 100. So I'm slowly upping the quantity, because I know that as we tick into November and in December, obviously the volume per day will go up for sales, especially on the really, really, really decent seasonal products. And so I obviously have to make sure that I'm adjusting for the time. So in October, not so bad, but you know, I want to have like 500 stock somewhere around here, all the good sellers, so that if I'm selling, you know, 50 a day, I have time to react. And other ways that you can get around that is you can potentially look to source the products that you're buying from somewhere faster. So let's say I can find it from a wholesaler for a little bit of a discount, okay? But I know that if it takes 20 days, 25 days, like I said, then I might, let's say I had no stock left. Then I might be like, well, that's potentially like, let's say it was £100 profit a day. Well, I'd still happily take £50 profit a day if I have to pay a bit more from a retailer where I can get it faster. You know, if I have to pay an extra 50p or whatever it is, but as long as there's still profit, I'm happy, because I've realized that there's decent volume to be sold. I'm making £100 a day, but otherwise I'd be making nothing for 25 days before I get any more stock in. I might as well take half of that profit. Again, as long as the cash flow allows, as long as that, you know, the investment obviously for 50 quid a day or whatever it is still going to be like, yeah, I'm happy with that. So obviously you've got to adjust that again with your own strategy. And then as we tick in, I'll be trying to focus less on wholesale around December and switching completely through to retail where I can get it fast. I might have a bit of wholesale if I'm not worried about selling it after the end of Christmas. So maybe products that are less related to Christmas, something like, you know, McVitie's, I don't know, biscuits. I mean, yeah, it's Q4 related a bit, but also it's not, because people buy biscuits in the winter and stuff like that. So, you know, that's the kind of game I play with general stuff. You know, it could be Marmite, it could be tomato ketchup or something. So I still will have some, but not so much in December, just because it's, you know, it is uncertain. And again, we have to track as we progress through the weeks the delivery times from retailers, from wholesalers to Amazon, from Amazon. So just be mindful of your shipping plans and looking, when did I ship that item? How long did it take to check in or book in? And then you can start to just keep an eye on it. It doesn't take very long, a couple of minutes a day, or even less, a minute a day, just to look at the last handful of shipments and how long the gap is between shipping it off and checking in. And then as you can progress through, you can start to either see it's not working very well, maybe pallets are getting holed up, but you notice the UPS is really fast. If you're doing both, of course. If you're just doing UPS, fine, you can't do much about it. But I had last year, I basically sent in around the end of October like 5 pallets, and it took until about something like the 25th of November to book in, so it's almost a month. But luckily I had other pallets, so I had, you know, maybe 10 pallets going in at any one time, 10, 15. So there was a handful that were held up, but all of my stock I try not to bundle in one go. So if I have 600 units, I try not to have it all together, and I will at the beginning, because I'm not so worried, it's not so like urgent, because obviously the lost sales over these months can be so great. If you're doing if I'm doing a $5,000 day instead of a 30 grand day, that could be thousands and thousands of lost profit for one day, just because I didn't get the stock in fast enough, or I didn't like work out my logistics properly. Yeah, obviously back here it's not so important, because the volume of sales isn't as high, because unless it's, you know, obviously I'm not a seasonal product and just naturally good product, but I focus on seasonal, so I know that the urgency in terms of the behind the scenes work is a lot more important here than it is up here. Here I'm happy to send 500 in, because it's, you know, losing a couple of sales here, there and everywhere doesn't matter too much, because really, you know, like half a day over here, that it will offset any little tiny bits and bobs losses from October. And if I can obviously maximize more and more days where I'm in stock on everything that I'm good at, because I'm slowly focusing and chipping away at that at that stock level and increasing it over time, that by the time I get to December, yes, I'll still have some stock going in from the end of November and stuff, but I'll have plenty of stock, and yeah, I'll be able to top up, tip, whatever. And yeah, there will probably be bits and bobs that I can't get hold of anymore. There'll be issues here, there, but it's about offsetting that as much as possible. And even looking at focusing on, if you're making purchases, look at next day deliveries. I focus massively on next day deliveries around sort of mid-November to December, because of that, getting in stock a day early could be the difference, like I said, between a $5,000 day and a $30,000 day. And obviously, if you're a smaller seller, then it won't be as much, but it's still relative to what you're doing. So I'm going to leave the video there. Any questions, feel free to ask me or let me know. And yeah, see you on the next one.